Welcome to the 94th edition of the Sales Podcast, where you can tune in to Ad Tunes. Do not adjust your seating while you're doing the intro and slam your mouth into the microphone like I just did. But you wouldn't know that because I stopped it and deleted it and am re-recording this. Welcome to the 94th edition of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Coming at you a few days late. Goodness gracious, 2 weeks on the road. Spent a week in Santa Barbara. Got certified on Entreport, a cool email marketing CRM platform. I'll be talking about that in coming episodes and certainly on the website, which is under redesign again. Always something going on. And then right after that, headed to Phoenix, actually Scottsdale, hung out for a week at the Infusionsoft Partner Conference, PartnerCon. So back-to-back trainings and hanging out and networking and learning with some cool entrepreneurs. We had almost 150 certified partners at the Infusionsoft PartnerCon. And some late nights, networking, brainstorming, relaxing. I'm surprised I have a voice. So even though I had most of this prepared, I just couldn't do it. Could not get it out in time. So here we are. We have Vince Palko on today. He's become a good friend of mine. I've known him for several years. Met him at several Glazer Kennedy conferences over the years. You may have seen him. He's the owner of Ad Tunes. He does those whiteboard. I don't know how to describe comics, but where they expand out and they're really cool. The way he can tell a story and draw it where it looks like a Sharpie or on a grease board, and it expands out. So he started with comics. He tells his story, which I didn't know his whole story. It's kind of interesting how he followed his passion. It was really quite inspiring and unique in the way that he left corporate America. So I won't steal his thunder. I want you to hear that story. But it was fantastic the way that he followed his passion to launch his business. So, but before we get into that, I need to tell you, today's funny. And it's not necessarily a funny, but it does have to do with comics. And did you know that Scooby-Doo's real first name is Scoobert? I did not know that. And Shaggy's real name is Norville. I don't think I ever knew that. And Casey Kasem was the voice of Shaggy. Like, wow, man. And why was Shaggy always really hungry? I'll leave that for another topic of discussion. But let's get into the podcast creed, which is, today is my day. I work diligently towards my goals, which are bigger than me. I bite off more than I can chew because only then will I truly know my current limits, and surpassing them becomes my new goal for today. Through education, accountability partners, and bold, decisive action, today will be better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better yet. I'm ready to produce. Now let's bring on Mr. Vince Palko. Vince Palko, fellow entrepreneur, info marketer, and owner of Ad Tunes. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How are you?
Doing great, Wes. How are you?
I am good.
Good.
So, for the uninitiated that have not seen your outstanding artwork and entrepreneurial ventures, would you mind taking a minute or two, give us a little thumbnail sketch about you, and we'll get into the meat of things?
Sure. So, again, my name is Vince Palko, and I run Ad Tunes. I've been doing that since 2005. I wrote the book, The Art of Selling Using Cartoons, in 2006. Left the corporate rat race in 2007 and grew the business out of my basement. And so I've been doing that ever since. And the backstory before that, grew up in a small town called Stowe, Ohio. Two loves, sports and art. And my mother was an art teacher. Father was in business. And after all these years, I've kind of combined both her skills and what she surrounded me with, along with my father, who was always in sales and a little different background, with HVAC and big boilers and heaters and things of that nature. But nevertheless, I find myself in that, as we all do these days in sales.
Yep.
If we're trying to grow a business. And I have 3 little wonderful girls that are the light of my life and what I do all this for. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Did I see some old pictures on the Google of you at Bowling Green?
You might have just seen a few of those. Yes, I played football at Bowling Green State University. Then I played overseas in Hamburg, Germany, professionally for 3 years.
Oh, cool.
And so that's another part of my life that kind of supports where I'm at now, being disciplined, staying on top of things, and all that good stuff that has really, I didn't make my millions in football, which was a goal to make it in the league and stuff, but I have my brains, Wes. They're not scrambled yet.
Dude, there's some serious problems, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yep. That's a different podcast for a different day.
Good grief. There's some guys getting hurt. All right. So you said something interesting in there. So you started working on your business. You wrote your book before you left corporate America. So, and I've seen this as a kind of a common thread with a lot of people. But can you walk us through that? How did you juggle both? Was it your plan to get out of corporate America, or were you just kind of following your passion and whatever happens, happen? I mean, how'd that come about?
Yep. 2005, I joined Matt Fury's mastermind group.
Okay.
And where I teamed up with a bunch of other entrepreneurs, internet entrepreneurs, and always kind of wanted to leave my mark, if you will, and put the knowledge and insights I had gathered through the years from great coaches and great experiences into info products. So I really started there. And then AdTunes it's kind of like they piggybacked off of one another through the years, the info products along with the AdTunes. And essentially, basically saw some pop when Matt actually did a JV with me, and he drove traffic to a squeeze page. I had a funny, silly cartoon that took me probably about 30 minutes to create. I had myself in a caricature format saying, "Hey, don't look at me, dummy, sign up for this newsletter, do it now," or something along those lines. Not as derogatory, I don't think, but just something really goofy. And it was funny. At the next mastermind meeting, there was a fitness guru, and this is all in the fitness field, that was kind of talking about the JV he did with Matt and how many leads he got. And I was sitting back thinking to myself, because when Matt did the JV with me, I got like 20, 30% more leads than this guru that's been in the field for a long time. So I really, for me, the cartoon was the first experience with, wow, people love these. These are engaging. They're driving more conversions. So that was really the foundation for AdTunes. And I wrote the book, The Art of Selling Using Cartoons, which is on my site, or you can get it at Amazon. It talks about the psychology of selling using cartoons and kind of how that lets down people's guard. They really don't, you could think of it as it's being, persuasive and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, cartoons just allow marketers to get their messages through. Finally, we win. And you don't have people holding up their dukes saying, "Don't sell to me, don't sell to me." So from there, wrote the book using all my experiences working with different clients from all over the world. And yes, I wrote that book. Well, one of the key points from Matt was, you have an idea for a business, don't leave your day job. Mm-hmm. And so I was diligent about working nights and weekends. And then it came to a point where I bought a day back from my employer. And so I took Fridays off. They cut back my salary, cut back my insurance.
Oh, wow.
And, but that's the direction I wanted to go in. So that's what I wanted to do. And that's how it all went down. Now, at the time, I had 3 little girls, all under the age of like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so, having to manage that. But I really made time to get away and go to a library, go to a coffee shop, and work on that book. And, it's the first one that really springs the rest, getting through all those mental barriers of, it's taking forever. And that really helped. But so the first lesson to the audience, you got an idea for a business, don't leave your day job. And then the second one is really get to work on creating a book around it. I'm sure you can relate to this, but it's amazing when you write a book and people, they put you on a pedestal. It's this weird dynamic. Can't explain it, but it's a very good promotion for your idea and a way to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have never heard of anybody buying a day back from their employer. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, I had racked up enough, I think, cushion. I was getting paid well, and I could continue to get paid well or kind of live on the brink of, just breaking even. And so for me, it was, this is where I wanted to go. This was the future, invest in my future. And so many people have so many great ideas. Just talking to a lady today, she has ideas upon ideas, but we don't make time for those ideas. So Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? Mm-hmm. And if you believe in that idea, you're going to invest, buy a day back from them, and, get it out there. Or get really good at staying up till 1 a.m. after your full day of work. So, for me, it just made sense at the time to do that. And luckily, at the time, my support system supported that. So
what were you working on? I mean, so you take Fridays off, and you're like, what? You're gonna were you using that time to write the book, or had you already written the book, and you were using that year to launch AdTunes?
That's a great question. No, AdTunes had been launched, and I had worked with 20 or 30 clients at that point.
Oh, wow.
Business was still getting off the ground.
Okay.
And so for me, it was trying to capture stories of people coming to me with the need of what they wanted to put out there, putting that into a book, also writing about other businesses that have used cartoons and things of that nature. So that time was really all around creating that book. And it was a 6-month process. It was, anyone who's ever written a book knows how challenging it can be the first one out of the gate. But I had this passion, right? Like Stephen Jobs says, put a dent in the universe. Mm-hmm. My dent was in 2005, back before there were all these cartoons on the internet and on TV. My vision was, I want to be a part of a cartoon marketing revolution. Mm-hmm. And so in here, after all these years, I mean, you see cartoons everywhere, and it's a wonderful thing, So we were like the only agency back then. There were probably other agencies that, were doing one-offs here and there for, different companies. But back then, we were all still branding cartoon based, and then that switched in 2011 when I met a guy by the name of Mike Geary. And I'll pause there.
So talk to me about Matt Fury's mastermind, because that's a high dollar thing. You just knew that you needed to surround yourself with a different group of people to get to the next level.
Yeah, the very first mastermind I joined of his was a success. It was split down the middle, success and fitness. And being that this is a gentleman that had what I wanted to achieve in his life, I was like, well, might as well go learn from the best. And right around that same time, I was working on a business idea. You could call me serial entrepreneur, but I had a company named FitBoom where I'd go into companies and kind of do what's popular now with The Biggest Loser, where, groups, people get exercising together. I did this more in a corporate setting. And so I invested like $10K in like advertising and all this other stuff that generated me nothing, maybe a lead or two.
Yep.
And that lead is being generous. That warm lead is being generous. They're more on the cold side. But so I had done it that way, and I said to myself, you know what? why not just invest 5K, learn from someone where you don't have to make the mistakes, costly mistakes, and then move your business from there. Now, started with that, and like you said, it's a sizable investment for me back then, and to convince my wife at the time, it was a challenge. And then, but once I got in and I saw the opportunity, I saw that, it wasn't just learning the skills and tactics, you're networking with folks. That's literally how I started AdTunes, with people who needed stuff done.
Yep.
And so I went to the next level, got into his marketing specific mastermind, and then got into some of the other masterminds as well. But that's really how that all started.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just great advice. They say success leaves clues, right? So find somebody and run with them.
Yep.
So shifting though to comics, why do comics work? I mean, did you just know that it would? Was it like in your bones? Was it a gut feel? Did you have some like empirical evidence, or was it like a hope and a prayer?
Yep. Back then it was all still branding cartoons, and we did some comics. We didn't really do comics back then. We did strips, so like a 3-panel, 4-panel strip that right. Matt would put into an ad in one of his magazines and stuff. And it really comes back to that first story of I saw what I'm like. Here's this newbie getting into a fitness market and generating more potential leads than this guy who's been in the market for 10, 15 years. That was kind of my first aha or clue to keep stepping in that direction. And then secondly, it was just a passion of mine. I've always loved art and wanted a way to combine art with another passion of mine, which is business and marketing and starting your own business and putting yourself out there and hopefully one day, be like Steve and leave your mark and leave footprints. So it was all just around, it was a balance of my passion. Everyone says, it's so funny when you hear gurus and experts, they say, you can't really make your passion a profession. And then you have the other half that say, yeah, you can make your passion your profession. I think the biggest thing is if you are passionate about something, that gives you a leg up on something that maybe you're not as passionate about. So when times are tough and you're struggling, you're probably going to keep pushing forward if it's a passion of yours, as opposed to it just being an idea that you want to launch and make money from. Does that resonate?
Well, I'm passionate about watching college football and the lazy boy while I drink whiskey. How do I make money off of that? Can you help me? Can you make a comic strip for me that talks about making money on the lazy boy watching football?
Well, I'm sure you could probably generate a following of folks on a podcast with football and fantasy football and all the stuff that's going on out there. But I see your point, and it's a great one. So you have to take up passion, but then also do something along with that, which is the next step, which is go to our good friend Google. And this is marketing 101. But, it's doing some research and finding out if other people are out there selling what you do. Mm-hmm. And if people are out there putting ads and, spending money on your passion. So it's a blend of kind of writing down what you love doing, what you would love doing in the future, along with just gauging it with the marketplace, if you will. So one of my first businesses, along with VincePalko.com, there was a business called Success Visuals. And Success Visuals was going to be my first stamp on the universe. When you think of like all these success pictures, have you seen all those where they got the eagle flying and it says success? Okay, well, Success Visuals was an idea to help people along those same lines, but make them a little more meaningful, right? Not just have an eagle soaring, have someone with walking over a bridge and outlining 3 different things that they need to do to achieve success. And in putting that into a visual, because pictures are worth 1,000 words, and pictures also communicate with your subconscious mind, and they leave on an impression, an anchor, if you will. Well, this was the opposite of having a garage full of shovels that you say, hey, I have a shovel, come buy mine. This was my first experience and by the way, Wes, no one was out there doing it. So I thought, man, this is great. I'm going to just kick some butt. Well, there's a reason why no one else is out there doing it. And so I had to learn that. So I had to learn you can either go down the route of finding a passion where other people are already making money, or cutting your own path in the woods is going to be a little more harder, a little more difficult. You have to educate people on it. But that's another option. So I learned kind of the hard way about having to educate, then sell versus just sell what you do, because, not all ideas are going to be fruitful for you. And that's one thing that, comes out in this podcast. I was just thinking about that today. I don't know how many I had Starring You, which designed movie posters for folks, custom made. There was the Fit Boom. I mean, there's a slew of them out there, and you just got to continue to tinker and test and see which one the market has ears to hear and invest in.
Yeah. I remember when I was an unemployed former Air Force officer replying to the classified ads in Mobile, Alabama, and I went to an interview at Oakwood Homes. And I remember being discouraged as I drove up because there were like all of these other mobile home retail lots on the same street. And I remember that manager saying, that's a good thing, because when people, somebody else can run an ad, people will go shop. They're always going to kick the tires, literally, on these mobile homes on a couple of different lots. And so we benefited from the traffic. And if you had a better sales process, which we did, then we literally would steal business from the competition.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, okay, you don't want to be totally alone. Sometimes, yes, you are groundbreaking, like Apple, like Steve Jobs said, and hell, Henry Ford said, if you ask consumers what they wanted, they'd tell you they wanted a faster horse, so, okay, once a generation, somebody will come along and invent something brand new. But for the most part, you want to see other things. And in reality, like Steve Jobs, the iPhone, they didn't invent mobile phones. They just improved them.
Yep.
So even the iPad, they didn't invent tablets. They just made them better. So, look around. I mean, that's great advice. Don't be afraid of competition, and just figure out what the industry wants and just do it better.
That's really, I think that's a great point. And it's, for most people, it's unintuitive. It's like when I talk to them, they say, well, there's a lot of competition. And it's like, okay, that's good. That's a good thing. Reprogram your mind. And it really is I think a lot of people share that in common, I've got to be the first one in. But yeah, that was key learning along the way. And I kind of switching back to videos and cartoons, I love this quote by Disney, and he says, of all our inventions for mass communication, pictures still speak the most universally understood language, right? It's such a powerful, powerful statement from a guy who, I don't know, how long has he been dead now? For some time. But, really for me, it comes down to that, they speak to you, speak to me, they speak to people in China, they speak to people in Germany. It's a universally understood language. And that is another part of my passion is being able to help business owners put themselves out there and then sit back and watch and see the level of engagement. So to pick up with my story, my business suffered during the crash, if you will, in 2008, 2009, 2010. It was rough. Back child support, back taxes, debt out the yin yang, and I was down to my last idea. And previous to that, I was coaching people online to learn to draw. So to be better communicators, visual with their teams, with their families, with their friends, their organizations. And then I got to a point where I was just like, I'm helping people. And the end result of that was creating what we now see as the AdTune video, whiteboard video.
Right.
But at right around that time, I said, I could do this for folks professionally and really, really make a difference. And so essentially, I approached a client by the name of Mike Geary. He had a 22-minute video. That video was PowerPoint presentation with narration. And I said, Mike, we can take that and visualize the whole thing. He goes, what do you mean visualize? Like slides of cartoons? I go, yeah, not just slides though. You can actually move things and have things move around. And so we went back and forth on what he thought was fair, what I thought was fair. But in the end, we created something really cool. And he wanted me to beat his control by 10%. And he said, if I do that, he'll give me a large chunk of change. If I do it, beat it by 20, he would double it. So I said, game on. And then in my little kitchen in my house, I got a whiteboard easel that my mother gave my kids for Christmas one year, pulled out some pens and turned on the lights, turned on a crappy camera and started filming. So I think that's kind of another real quick tip to insert is like, once you have your idea and do what you can where you're at with what you got and put it out there. Now we have studios with these luxurious like tables and stands over top to hold the camera and all this fancy stuff. But it all started in my kitchen. And that little video we created blew his control away by 85%.
Whoa.
And so I just wish I would have put a plus 20 clause in that agreement. And then after that, Mike being Mike, he then took that AdTune, split tested it against itself, and saw another 268% bump because he increased the size of the viewer window in the B part of the A split test. And so the rest is history from there. We literally have created an industry behind us with this whiteboard because Mike, there was no one else that I had known that was going down this route of, putting sales and marketing messages into a fun, engaging whiteboard video.
Right. Very cool. Well, man, how can people reach you? Where do you want them to find you to learn more about AdTunes and comics and cartoons and everything else?
Yeah, so for your listeners, we've got a special little deal where if you go out to our site, they can pick up one of our newest marketing vehicles and creations, and that's what we call our AdTunes comic. So we design comics for businesses now as well. And we'll write the thing, illustrate it, put it into a 12 or 24-page comic. And we happen to have our own comic that showcases a couple of our clients and what they've done with these AdTunes put into the Godfather theme. So they can go out to adtunes.com. That's ADTOONS.com /Wes, WES, and pick up a free comic, pay the shipping and handling, and we'll mail out to you a hard copy piece. Everyone I've put this into their hands, their minds just start spinning on, man, we could market ourselves in this way and market our business that way. So it's really a fun and engaging way to pull your audience in and let them know what you're all about.
Cool. AdTunes.Wes. That has a good ring to it.
AdTunes.com /Wes.
Shouldn't it be Big Daddy Wes? But that's too many. That's too long. All right, we'll keep it as Wes.
That sounds good.
Very nice. Well, thank you, sir. I know you got to run, pick up the little one, so I appreciate you taking the time. We will end right on time because I will not face the wrath of any daughter, having 5 of them myself. All right, I know your pain, man.
I feel your pain more than my pain. That's awesome.
Very cool. Well, thank you, sir. Have a great day. And everybody, please visit thesaleswhisper.com /Vince-Palko. You'll get all the show notes and the link to his site. Thank you, sir.
Thank you much, Wes. Great being with you today.
All right, man. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So how unique was that, huh? I have never heard of anybody buying time off from their boss, right? He was able to take Fridays off with less pay, less benefits, and use that time wisely to build his his cartoon business, launched it, wrote the book, and that paved the way for him to get out on his own. You know, it was not a straight uphill meteoric rise after that. You know, he was open and honest about the struggles he had personally, and with getting divorced and the pain that came with that. But he stuck with it, right? Now I see him at various trade shows. He's doing some great work with some big marketers, people that you would know, like I mentioned, Glazer Kennedy. So check out his work, leverage his skills, his knowledge, his team as much as you can. I've been doing it a little bit as well. I love drawing and comics. I've been working on the Diary of a Wimpy Salesman. I haven't really spoken about that much. But, since cavemen, right, we have communicated through drawings. So he mentioned the Walt Disney quote, pictures, they are worth 1,000 words. They do cut through the clutter. They do convey messages quickly, right, and really quite powerfully. So I encourage you to investigate how comics and cartoons can help you grow your business. Visit Vince's website as well at adtoons.com, and it's TOONS, so ADTOONS.com, and see what you can get from him to help you grow. If you need help growing, please check out my new program, marketlikeaman.com. Building out the content for that now. So when you join early, you're going to get more direct access to me because I'll be making the content live with you to supplement and augment the other content that I've already preloaded into it. So marketlikeaman.com, and it's for women as well. As always, I thank you for listening. Feel free to share the love on social media, write some reviews on iTunes, and help pay it forward. And as always, remember to sell different.